guys? Welcome to 5 Questions here on the 5. 5 Questions, of course. It's always Mike Lederer because everyone else, they're afraid, Mike. They're afraid. They can't rise to your level.
I've been told I can be pretty intimidating then.
I tell people, get on Led's level, and people are like, we just can't do it, and so they don't want to be a part of it. It's kind of a bummer, but you got to set the bar high.
Absolutely.
So 5 questions today with Mike Lederer. Mike, get prepared. We're gonna have some fun.
I'm ready to go, Nick.
All right, sounds good. So Memphis is pretty close to tying up that last spot in the NBA playoffs out there in the West. Is there any chance at all that Houston's going to track them down?
There's absolutely no chance that the Rockets end up getting the 8th seed. The only way it could happen is if Memphis loses their last 3 games this season and Houston wins their last 4 games of the year. That's not going to happen. The Grizzlies are so confident that they're actually putting playoff tickets on sale starting on Sunday afternoon. So they're pretty convinced that they're going to make the playoffs. And it's going to be a positive result to a good season for the Grizzlies. I mean, Zach Randolph really having a nice year, 20 points, 12 rebounds per game. Really trying to, cash in on that last big-time contract as he's set to be a free agent after the year. But ultimately, with Rudy Gay going down with the injury and being out for the season, even though the Grizzlies are going to lock up that 8th seed, they're not going to get out of the first round. They're not going to beat the Spurs.
So staying in the NBA, we're still there. We're not going anywhere. Well, sort of going somewhere. LeBron James bought minority stake in Liverpool FC. I read that and kind of think, what is he doing? Why?
Well, you know, Nick, ever since LeBron James got into the NBA as an 18-year-old, he's always marketed himself as a businessman. This is a business decision for LeBron. He's all about his global brand, and what a better way to get involved in soccer, the biggest sport in the entire world. I think the most interesting thing about this is that the majority owners of Liverpool are Fenway Management Group and Red Sox owner John Henry. I'm not sure we're going to see LeBron wearing those Yankee caps anymore now that he's a minority owner in the same team owned by the owner of the Boston Red Sox.
Interesting little side note to that. Do you think he'll now be taking his talents to Chowder City? I don't know how out there in Boston. I mean, maybe.
I don't see that happening, Nick.
So we recently got a request, speaking of soccer, to cover the MLS on the website on the 5. That's the5daily.com. We've had a couple of MLS stories up there, and I know that you are not technically the connoisseur of football, but you know a thing or two. And the amazing thing is the upcoming game between the Whitecaps and the Houston Dynamo, of course, the Vancouver Whitecaps, Houston Dynamo. Whitecaps are going to be without a couple of players. I mean, 2 midfielders I think are out, a forward's out. They'll have Adaba Harris, their leading assist guy, but he's not going to have anybody to slot it to, as I think, if I remember right, Eric Hasley's going to be out. What are their chances out there?
Well, you know, it should be an interesting game this weekend between the Whitecaps and the Dynamo. Another potential player out for the Whitecaps, Captain Jay DeMera. He's been nursing a groin injury throughout the season. But really, you have to question what's going on up there in Vancouver. I mean, they've probably been the most entertaining team to watch in the early going of this season in the MLS, whether it's a dramatic comeback or just boneheaded decisions. I mean, you look at what Eric Hasley did. 2nd time in 3 games now that he's been carded for taking off his jersey and throwing it in celebration after scoring a goal. He's going to be forced to sit out this weekend's game against Houston because of it. It looks like John Thornton's going to get the start in the midfield for Vancouver. What are their chances? I still think their chances are pretty strong. I mean, Houston's going to try and control the tempo in this game. They've really played a slow tempo throughout the early season. Last 2 games both have been 1-1 ties for the Dynamo. If they can keep the tempo down, they might have a shot in this one, but ultimately I think that the Whitecaps prevail.
From football to football, Jay Cutler came out on Friday, and he actually did something pretty out of character, which was thanking his teammates for getting his back after the NFC Championship game. Has he turned over a new leaf?
I think that's debatable. I mean, obviously Cutler was heavily criticized for, after injuring his knee in the NFC title game, standing on the sidelines, not getting back in there. Not only criticized by the media, but criticized by several players around the league, whether it was through Twitter or through talking to the media itself. But with Cutler, you know, it's all based on reputation, and he's known as a jerk. He's known as a guy who's not easy to deal with, and ultimately, he kind of, I don't want to say he deserved the criticism he got, but he got the criticism he got because of his past reputation. So maybe he's trying to turn over a new leaf. But Nick, the bottom line is the only people that Jay Cutler has to worry about are the people in his locker room, his teammates. And if his teammates have his back, that's really all that matters. The outside media, the outside fan base, it doesn't matter at all.
Last question, of course, is staying in the NFL. Ben Roethlisberger got engaged. And that was apparently news the other day. I wasn't really sure why, but then I kind of stopped to think, and I mean, here's a guy who's been through so much off the field transgressions. I mean, he's not the best dude in the world. What's she thinking?
Well, you know what? Honestly, I don't think that's really any of our business. I mean, Roethlisberger obviously has a very checkered past and deserves a lot of the criticism that he gets. I think the guy's a jerk. I think the guy probably should be in jail right now, point blank, but he's not. Hopefully he's trying to turn into a better person and turn his life around. We can criticize him all we want, but I don't think it's really appropriate to criticize the person that has decided they want to marry him.
Fair enough. That's 5 questions with Mike Lederer here on the 5. Check back again. We'll have more at 5daily.com.